This is Eric Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Trump, interestingly enough, remember how they used to talk about how Joe Biden, and by the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, do anything you can to help us out. Venmo. Help us buy a new computer because this one's not going to, it's restarting. I'll just tell you that. It's got the little, watching the bar go across it. And it stopped again. Keep going. Go, you fucker, go. Oh. Maybe. Okay. This is the laptop is just, anyways. So we, they used to talk about Biden about where he would, he was the gaffe king and he would say shit before he was supposed to say shit and he would say the wrong thing or he would be, quite frankly, most of Biden's gaffes, yes, thank you, Dragon X Flyer. I couldn't possibly get worse, by the way. She was just saying, I'm getting better at self-promoting. Thanks. If you pay attention, Biden's biggest problem oftentimes when he quote unquote gaffes is that he says that honestly he's too truthful in a political sphere. And the best example I think is the gay marriage thing where everybody was like, okay, we know half the country everybody's cool with civil unions and it's going to be a little while before everybody's on board with gay marriages. And so let's push the civil union thing until people come around and we'll try to drive the conversation a little bit if we can help and do it. But ultimately the idea is to make sure that, gay people have the right to get married across the entire country and that's that and whatever. And we'll just call it civil unions. Everybody agree? Civil unions. We're for civil unions. That way they can't, the religious nutcases can't corner us in the election and stuff. And Biden's like, I think gay people should get married. Honestly, if they should be allowed to get married, if they want to get married, they should be able to get married. Like, shut the fuck up. Like that's how it went down. And it's not surprising at all. Whereas Eric tends to be the sort of the weird, dark id version of this. Eric Trump exposes Biden's, quote, getting away with murder, deeply personal to me. Because I don't know if you know this, but Eric Trump has been murdered by the Bidens, and it was very upsetting. And now he is back from the dead to tell us all about it. And luckily, in the window when he could achieve human form, after a class on flicking bottle caps in a New York subway, he was able to rematerialize for a very, very narrow window. And luckily, Newsmax had a slot open on one of their shows and, of course, a studio available with a special camera where you can see people. So, yes, this is Eric Zombie Trump telling us how it's very personal. Guys,
they diminish the
oh, dear God. I didn't know it was going to be. We're doubling up on the Erics. Eric Bolling is, talking about doubling up, is doubling up on the marzipan these days. America last, Americans last. Is this the idea that he waited until the emergency part was over to visit Maui rather than fly in there and just pee in the corners like Trump would if he win it all?
At home and abroad.
So sad. He doesn't even care. By the way, why are they so fucking quiet? There you go.
In doing so, they're proving Joe Biden's mantra, America last,
It's a mantra.
Americans last.
America last, Americans last, Americanese last.
Now let's bring in for reaction.
and I mean that seriously. Let's bring in Eric Trump, shall we, right now? Somebody who can put a smile on my face, if I can still smile with all this Botox.
The executive vice president for the Trump Organization.
Really? Really? Your dad's the head of the company. Your CFO's in jail. You haven't been promoted. Executive vice president, but Don Jr.'s a vice president. Who the fuck is the president of it now, technically? Who's the CEO? Couldn't you be CEO, I guess? Oh, no, I forgot. You're too stupid.
Eric Trump, Big E. Good push.
Eric Trump McGee? Wait. Biggie?
The executive vice president for the Trump Organization, Eric Trump, Big E.
Oh, Big E. I see. I see. So that would make you little E.
Good push and a half right here. Monday.
Good what? I'm sorry, good what?
And for the Trump organization, Eric Trump, Big E. Good push and a half right here.
Good pussing to have. That's the great thing. Eric Trump, more cussing for the pussing. Thanks for being on the show.
Monday. You know, Friday, Joe Biden said, America first. Well, that makes us poor. Well, perhaps in the D.C. swampland it does, but not certainly middle American in the average voter. I think America first actually worked. You can weigh in on that or some of the things that we found out about Hunter over the weekend. What are your thoughts on what's going on?
Yeah, say something about what he said about something.
In D.C.
Yeah, and point out the fact that he's in D.C. and you're not. You're in like, we're both in down home America. I mean, you can tell by the wood and the crackling fire behind us that fuck. All right, we're both in big cities and we both went to elite schools.
Well, listen, every single Biden policy has made
Jesus Christ. What are you calling in on a Nokia? The fuck?
America poor. Look at gas prices. Look at inflation. Inflation's outpacing wage growth by, huge leaps and bounds. I mean, we've had a runaway
huge leaps and bounds. I think we have another Wharton graduate, ladies and gentlemen.
Inflation. We've had an economy that people don't feel confident in.
We have an economy?
Huge leaps and bounds. I mean, we've had a runaway inflation. We've had an economy that people don't feel.
We've had economy, which is, that's where the insiders make all the money, and the out-economy, that's you, the average American.
Feel confident in. Consumer confidence is at all-time low. Gas.
No. I think it was at an all-time low during COVID.
Prices are through the roof. Everything's more expensive. I mean, it's.
Well, you do realize if you drive your car through your actual roof, it's not the cost of gas that's really the major expense there.
Housing's through the roof, food's through.
It's interesting when your house is through the roof. That's a little. I mean, that. You know what? I don't even know why I'm questioning it. I was trying to make it work out in my head, but ultimately, he's the real estate magnate. Maybe houses can be through the roof. I don't know.
The roof, I mean.
Is everything through the... Is the roof the standard? Is the roof on fire, and do you care, or should we just let the motherfucker burn?
Every single consumer staple has gone up. I mean, he's made...
Even staples. Staples are through the roof. Which I guess if you have a really porous roof and it's really weak.
Made this country poor. Look at my father. He had the lowest energy prices in history. You had the lowest unemployment.
Okay, first of all, no. Lowest energy history, no. Not even close. I don't even know what that fucking means. Are we going to, we can go back to Roman times. Back in the 1800s, gas was $3 a gallon, and my dad fixed that part. Also, just the fact that this motherfucker is saying my dad a bunch is embarrassing. Anyways, what was he saying?
In the history of this nation, the lowest African American.
Hold on.
You had the lowest energy prices in history. You had the lowest unemployment in the history of this nation, the lowest African American unemployment.
He also had the highest unemployment in the last 90 years. I think since the Great Depression. Because everybody just stopped working. You're not going to count that? You're just going to blow it off? You're just going to go, the 14 days to stop the spread didn't stop the spread and didn't last 14 days? You're not going to bring that up at all?
The lowest Hispanic unemployment. Our economy was absolutely rotten.
Yeah, but I would like to say that Biden has more giant rabbits working than you ever did. And if you don't believe me, I think Donnie Darko voted for Trump just to be a fucker.
Manufacturing was coming back to the United States.
And now it actually is. During Trump, it was. It didn't, but it was. It always was. Kind of like his healthcare plan was. It was always 2 weeks away.
I could go on and on. I mean,
oh, believe me, you are.
Regulations were being cut by leaps and bounds. He wasn't.
The regulation cuts were through the roof and by leaps and bounds. Basically, there was no regulation against you climbing on your roof and jumping off.
Sending over hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to the Ukraine while, states like Hawaii.
The Ukraine. Yeah, I spotted that too. Ukraine's a country. It's not a territory. When you say the Ukraine, that's the Russian talking point. It's weird. Most people don't make that mistake anymore. It's weird that this guy would.
They suffer, right? I mean, there's natural disasters. You've got these massive fires that have taken down half of a state, half of a, island in a state. And
Half of an island in a state. Well said. Yeah. So you've been there.
You have cargo planes flying over it to go to the Ukraine as opposed to actually helping the people who are United States.
Yeah, I can't think of a reason why a cargo plane would fly towards Hawaii and over China and Russia to get to Ukraine either. I'm sorry. For a moment, I was pretending he gave a fuck.
Citizens, it's a disgrace, but there isn't a single economic factor that Biden has done a good job on. And
no, terrible. The infrastructure bill is terrible. Removing lead pipes from the ground is terrible. Rebuilding bridges and other stuff, terrible. Just like reinvesting in nuclear, wind, and solar, it's terrible. The chip factories that are coming online, all 9 of them, the multi-billion-dollar facilities that are being put in there, they're going to add hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs. This is terrible. It's awful. And the fact that like black unemployment, while it was lowering during the Trump administration, it never actually got any closer to the mean of the rest of the country. And now it's actually tightening towards what is effectively the average for Americans, which is ultimately your goal. You want unemployment to be basically the same for everybody, no matter what their race is. And, you'd want that to tighten. That never happened during Trump, of course.
And you compare that to 4 years ago, this country was rocking and rolling. And
you're not going to compare it to 3 years ago? Why is that? 4 years ago. So basically, so you're just abdicating we're just going to breeze right past a cruise ship with Americans on it, where a deadly disease is working its way through, and Trump doesn't want it to actually come ashore and let those people off so they can go to a fucking hospital, because he doesn't want to add to the numbers of people with COVID in the fucking country and screw with his numbers internationally. So he just lets Americans sit on a fucking cruise ship and stew. We're just going to breeze right past that part.
The entire world was envious of the United States of America.
I think
that actually defines how they feel now.
so, you're hitting on a couple of things there.
Yeah, a couple things.
Insane that we're going to send. I think
Crazy.
Joe Biden offered $700 per household for Maui households, and how many?
No. You've got 9 different organizations down there. The initial rental assistance was $700 per household, and that was per. Most of the divided with the apartments and that kind of stuff. You're talking about basically doubling it for if you have a kid, that kind of stuff. You're getting it's giving you seed money to find a place, and they're putting you up in hotels or emergency shelters for people who are staying, period. Like, this is just dumb. This is just normal government stuff.
Thousands upon thousands of dollars per household are we sending in foreign aid around the world. It's actually
around the world. Yeah, you're right. Fuck Israel. I think that's what you're trying to say, right, Eric? Which Eric am I talking to? Both Erics? Eric Squared?
disgusting and insulting.
Yeah, it's disgusting and insulting that we've had wildfires in California and you didn't give a rat fuck and you agreed with Rand Paul when he thought the people who were affected by Hurricane Sandy should just take a fucking 2x4 up the ass and just live with it because they were stupid enough to live on the wrong beach at the wrong time. And yeah, it's just disgusting. Now you care. This is the interesting thing, is that now that some of the money is going to push back against Russia, that's when you're mad about foreign aid? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure these motherfuckers didn't want any funds going to, like, our UN support and peacekeepers and whatnot in Rwanda and the Congo, places like that. I mean, if he'd brought it up at the time. But he brought this up himself.
The other thing, what people aren't understanding, they're...
Yeah, people, you don't understand this. People. How many people in chat? We got a large group in here. Look at this. Look at this huge group. Thank you. And I didn't even tell you guys to share the show. Although we had somebody lovely enough to do that early on. Just saying. Yeah. How many of you guys? Well, I mean, I don't know. What are we too stupid to know? Sorry.
It's disgusting and
people. You don't realize this. I don't know what you don't realize, but you don't realize.
Insulting. The other thing, what people aren't understanding, they're this Bidenomics taking credit for lower inflation. No. No, see, Bidenomics caused the big inflation last year, and Trumponomics caused the lowering of inflation this year. After
because it works in waves. That's what it's kind of like the last administration's economic plans and strategies comes and goes in waves. It's kind of like the undertow. That's what it is. It's like Bidenomics is the economic undertow, and Trump is the wave that you can surf, and it just comes around in 48-hour cycles or 38-day cycles or 20. I don't know. It's gibberish.
Year one to year two, inflation skyrocketed.
Right, as the entire world came back online, stagger stopped in different countries, but the United States, above all, had more money to spend and more ability to get goods that were quickly becoming available again. And we grabbed that shit everywhere. We had boats fucking backed up at ports because we were just buying shit. And we won't fucking stop. One of the best things, the funniest things that the recurring article on Bloomberg or Market Watch or any of these economic, even Fox Business, talks about all the time about the American consumer won't just stop buying shit. They're supposed to be angry and poor. A rich man in Richmond won't let my Wayfair orders show up on time.
Year two to year three, this is where we are right now.
Yes, where it's come down and prices have come down and things are getting better.
And it's still going up. It's just not going up as fast of a pace. It's not going down. They're full of crap. It's still substantially higher than when your father left office.
No, it isn't. It is not substantially higher than when your father. I'll give you an example. We looked at this like the price of fucking eggs the other day, or bacon. That's what we looked at for primary. Hold on one second. Got to open that up. Make sure that's still there. People were thinking Ficus sings that song. I don't know that he knows it. Oh, hell yes, I know that song. The rich man is rich man. Make me work at Piggly Wiggly. And for shit wages and all these fat people on welfare that I don't like very much. Oh, yeah. Singing in my $2,000 microphone in the middle of a backyard. Playing on my $1,600 steel front guitar. I've been playing on this one since the label gave it to me because I got to deal with the fellers. I love that song, man. That rich fuckers in rich town up there in Virginia. Oh, I fucking love that song, man. One of my favorites. I don't know how you can not like that, man. Rich man and rich man. Put in a giant order at the plant where I work, so I got a raise. And shit, that doesn't fuck. Okay, hold on. I got it right. Fucking, some of these verses don't hunt. I just goes against the narrative. Yeah. I'll work on it. Don't worry. I'll put out my own version of that Richard Nixon in Richmond. That's what I'm gonna call it. Oh, whatever he said. I don't even remember. I'm glad you live in Richmond. That's
Eric,
great.
maybe the greatest change.
Oh, shut up, Eric. The point I was trying to make was, let's see. Price of a dozen eggs. Let's see. Lot of bacon divided, $5.39. Average based on 9 price point of $1 Hey, everybody. Do. 35 cents cheaper than Las Vegas. Baltimore is 13% cheaper. Hold on. Let's see. And the United States. Cost of living in the United States is at $5 monthly costs for a family of 4. $5,671 single person, $3,361. All right, them 2 kids and that spouse, they ain't that expensive after all. They fucking eat up most of what you got on that thing. Here's what we do. Okay, so cost of living is more expensive than 90% of countries in the world. Yeah, what you got? Choices. This is Expatistan. So obviously they got a dog in this hunt. Oh, thank you so much, sir. So this is cost of living in the United States. Summary of cost of living in the family of four. Estimated monthly cost $5,671 a month. That includes rent, phone, everything, gas, blah blah blah. Single person $3,335. So you're not dodging much. I would say to all my single friends, get yourself a mate and make some kids, because it's not that much more in the level of productivity, and it's nice to have something to get you up in the morning. That, like, that fear that your youngin' has gotten out of bed before you have. Nothing, that's people don't talk enough about the parental alarm clock. You know what I'm talking about? That, like, when you have a young one and you're like, he can work the doorknob, and you like, when you've moved past, you guys, who knows what I'm talking about here? Come on. You guys know what I'm talking about. But anybody with kids knows what I'm talking about. That age when they reach where they reach the age where you're like, I know they can open the door, and you're just like at 5:30 in the morning, like, is he up and walking around? Where is he? He's by the stove. He's by the stove. You know what I mean? Sock on the door. Oh, on the, like, so they can't turn the knob, or tying it shut. Believe me, it wouldn't matter. My kid could pick a lock, so it doesn't matter. Biden should take credit for lower egg prices. I agree. And he is. They just don't want him to. So hold on. Let's see. Egg prices 2000 to present. Okay. Adjusted for inflation. Eggs. Here we go. Let's see. Inflation adjusted. It's interesting. The inflation adjusted price is nearly identical. There's an overlap. This is fascinating. So this is the current. No, I don't know. Talk about two eggs. All right, here you go. This is fascinating. Egg prices adjusted for inflation, 1995 to 2022. So here's the price of actual eggs. This is what an egg cost. It's like 84 cents for a dozen, right? And adjusted for inflation, in 1980, that would have cost you $2.78. So basically, we're at 1980 egg prices as far as production of eggs and whatever. Okay, then it cascades down. We get to about 2001, 9/11 happens, and it starts to go back up again because travel costs and checking shit and eggs coming across the border from Mexico or Canada or some shit like that, or egg products coming from after they've been processed coming across, they're checking everything, and so the price goes up. But you'll notice that the price of eggs just continues to climb. Part of it is, by the way, is a little thing that Trump likes to take credit for, which is the lack of safety regulation. So in times like, in 2016 and the like, by the way, here's 2012. So at some point, 2015, egg prices were almost at parity with what they would cost now, dollar for dollar. And then they just took a giant shit. So there's no material reason why this is. And they might have gone up because of avian flu or some shit right about here. You know what I mean? That blowback. But then, during Trump, they were down here as far as the actual production price. But the cost of it, as far as, matching your wages, was higher, far higher. The gap between what it actually cost to produce an egg and the profit made on eggs was higher during the Trump administration. The distance, talk about like income inequality, that would be an example of it. Meanwhile, after we all are in the same fucking boat post-COVID, 2022, inflation adjusted $2.85, and it's almost exactly the price to actually get them someplace. And again, this has a lot to do with avian flu. So here's the lineup. This right now, according to this, eggs, you're basically buying eggs at like wholesale because of avian flu and getting back online and catching up with what was there. Okay, so then we go. But 20, there you go. 22 is what they had the last one. This is 286. Eggs are one of the many food items tracked by the BLS for calculating the overall rate of inflation, consumer price index, blah, blah, blah. Oh, prices, okay. And then I just find that fucking fascinating over the last year. So And again, yes, we do have a situation where is this gonna even work? Will that computer start up? Set up. Oh, good lord! Set up later. Yes. Get back in there, you silliness. I understand it's not supported. Yes, I get it. The important thing, though, is the sheer number of buttons I have to fucking push. Oh God, it's just opening Windows. I can't even do my 5 eggs right now. It's so sad. Contribute, Venmo. All right. 5 eggs, exactly. So, point being is that the cost of eggs, for example, or the cost of bacon, even as far as jobs at meat processing plants, where they had to make up for that when there's a lack of workers for those things. There's a lack of there was a huge lack of eggs because of avian flu and the number of chickens that had to be culled. And now they're coming back. It takes about, I want to say, 9 weeks to go from a chick to an egg-laying hen, and then takes them a little longer than that to actually be highly productive. So that was and a lot of people didn't want to start the process if those chickens were gonna just die, so what's the point? So that caused an extra delay in this in general. All right, so anyways, back to where we were with these dickheads talking about, remember, it's terrible in America right now. Everything is terrible, and you have not been to the store, and you dare not go to the store because everything is super expensive.
Channel on any of the social media platforms you can follow is the White House channel, and they'll do that. They'll have inflation. We've had the largest drop of inflation in 25 years. It came down 1%. Yeah, congratulations. You took inflation from Donald Trump, which was 1.5%, 1.9%.
Because we were headed towards disinflation or deflation because no one was working and nothing was being produced.
In a couple of the years,
only the Trumps would fucking pine for the perfect time in America was July and August of 2020. That was, if these assholes could pick, and he looks fine. If these assholes could pick the first, the pinnacle of Trumpism, it would be those 2 months, July and August of 2020. Fucking perfect. You know what I mean? Like, we're in this giant, basically hermetically sealed world where everybody has to be checked for COVID 20 fucking times before they can even walk in the room, much less shake our fucking hand. We have everything delivered to us. We don't have to go out for anything. We've got government health care and Secret Service protection at all fucking times. And who's dying? People with pre-existing conditions. What Henry Kissinger famously called the useless eaters. And the Trumps were like, well, we just got, some of the right people just took a powder and, freed up some jobs for real Americans. How fucked up do you have to be that's your idea of a good time?
Perfect inflation numbers.
The perfect inflation numbers. Asshole, that was at the height of COVID. That wasn't inflation. That was the collapse of an economy.
You took it skyrocketed to 10, 11, 12%. And now that you totally screwed up the system, you're bragging that 10% is now 8% or it's now 7%. So that's
it's 4.
It's the largest decline. You screwed the system, Joe Biden. Don't take credit for trying to fix something that you screwed.
It's your fault that things are recovering. It's like my dad said. All the fuck ups are because of you. But when things get better, it's because of us after the thing. What the shit?
Effectively, the fire chief and the arsonist. You go light a house on fire and then you put the house out and you claim victory for.
It's the other way around. You have to be the arsonist, fire chief. I think in those situations you're more an arsonist than the fire chief.
No, that's not how the system works, Joe.
Yeah, but he didn't actually. COVID literally was the reason why. It's a supply shock. And again, I would love for any of these motherfuckers to explain to me their economic reasoning behind why inflation occurred. What was the cause of it. And if you boil it down to that, we didn't do the Keystone XL pipeline, which was fucking not even online yet. So what the idea is that everybody factored in the cost of their goods and services based on an oil price that didn't exist and might never exist. Because again, this is just Canadian shale oil going to market in a slightly bigger tube.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's when you
Yeah,
go to a retail store and they've already jacked the price up 200-300%, and they say,
fuckers, retail. Am I right? So those fucking store owners, you know what I mean? Like Target with their fucking 2%. That's not a lot.
well, guess what? We're down 20%. You might want to buy this item. It's still substantially higher.
No, it's not. Look, not everywhere it falls under the Guitar Center rule, you fucking idiot. Can I show you guys something? This might be a surprise. This might be a surprise for some folks. Now, real quick. Let's see, where's the timing on this? Yeah, here we go. So let's talk about gross operating costs, net 6.2. There we go. All right, so the highest, is this the highest? Let me see if this is the highest. Pretty close. All right, so here's how real economics works if you're not an idiotic rich kid legacy Horton child. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the profit margin enjoyed by Target. This is, if I may, let's slide this over a little bit. Okay. This is Target. Well, fucking shrink down, you bastard. Hold on. Let's see if I can control. There we go. That's better. Let's shrink this in, bring it in like this. And there we go. I'll try to bring it to here. And then I'll try it again. There we go. All right, now, so this is all time from there's way back in starts at 2009. The margin, which is what whatever the markup is, they mark stuff up approximately about 30%. The max they've ever done, the maximum markup that Target has done overall is 30.98%. That seems to be the top end right here. None of this even came close. 30.36 is here. 30.32. It's even been lower ever since. But let's point this out. Okay, so Target, if you like the store, if you hate the store, or you think, oh my God, they're goosing prices and they're fucking with everybody, and retail was the worst and they fucked everybody and they blah blah blah. I'm sorry to disappoint you if you feel that way, but let me see. I gotta move this over so that if I have to show this later. That if you'll notice right here, this is here's 2020, where they were humping along, right? And then the cost of getting shit skyrocketed. The cost of fuel, the availability of goods, all that stuff started to go up. So right around, here's 2020, everything took a shit because nobody was buying anything. And then it started to hump back up because people wanted stuff again. And then you hit, here, this is after Biden takes office. Right after he takes office in April, at the end of April, beginning of May, it reaches not its all-time high, but the kind of normal operating point that it used to have. And this is a fascinating drop. We'll look at this in the bottom. Okay, the top line is the gross margin, how much they mark shit up. The second line is their operating costs. And the third line is their net margin. Like, this is how much they actually, profit-wise, what they're getting. This is what they make on, on everything. And by the way, their profit was very high at this point compared to other times, but not extraordinarily so. It was an extra 2% on stuff compared to the operating costs, which went up 5%. Here's the gross, though. Okay, so then Here we hit 7. This is July of 2021. Their gross margin, what they could afford to charge on stuff, and what their operating cost was, because they did a lot of stuff online and blah, blah, blah over the last little bit, and how they've shut a bunch of stores and shit like that, cadavered. And then down here, if you look at the net margin, Target is now making currently a 3%. They net 3% on all their sales. See this little tick up right here? It was 249 and it goes to 312. Here's their operating cost. It was at 351. It dropped all the way down to 351. And then it spiked up to 436. And still their net did not follow. Their cost, they jacked this part up and it went almost entirely to wages because they needed people to actually fucking work. And so your average Target makes 3% on do the Walgreens numbers? God, like with or without organized theft. So yeah. They live at, yeah. Try not to live in one, Starbird. And by the way, I do have an entire family. You do realize that, yes? All right. Thanks very much, though. It's very sweet. But yes, I agree. Do that. But I think that's important. I like Target totally better than Walmart. Walmart, by the way, is not that dissimilar. Now, Walmart used to be the mom and pop killer. That was the narrative around Walmart for a long time, and not surprising, because that's effectively what they did for a good long while. However, Walmart, let's see, profit margin. Let's see if we can drag that up over the last little bit. This is macro trends. Here we go. Theirs is even lower, not by a lot, and fascinatingly enough, like theirs seems very disjointed in terms of it, but it's always been lower than Target's, but only by I think a percentage point or so. But also they make it up. Whoops, they make it up by volume. So here's the first. There's January 2022. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to. Yeah, here's let's see, this is 131, 2019, this is 2020. Let's go to, there you go. Let's go back here. 131.20. So here's the beginning of COVID. And at that point, you have this, like their gross margin was on its way down. And then COVID hits and their gross margin starts to go up because they're having a difficulty getting shit. So but interestingly enough, their costs go up a lot. And this speaks to what's available at the store. What you're actually buying from Walmart is that the net margin reached an all-time high for them, or maybe, no, it's back here. 387, yeah. So pretty close to a spike in October of 2020, right at the height. And this is because of Walmart.com and a lot of right-wingers only buying from Walmart and hating Amazon and Bezos and all that shit. So they saw a huge spike in online sales. But because of that, and they run so many retail stores, the online sales actually ate into their margin. And for a long time, it just went down. So at one point, the lowest ever was in 2018. That was their lowest profit margin, even though, again, this has to do a lot, with their competition with Amazon and Alibaba and all that shit. But it went up here, leveled out in 2022, and it went down. And now it's kind of eking back up, but it's still only at 2.23%. Their gross markup is 24%. They mark everything up 24%, about a quarter for every 75 cents worth of goods. They add a quarter to it to make it $1. Their operating costs are about 3.4% of that, and their net after that is the margin for that, anyways. And then of what they make, and then net is 2.23. Yeah. Funny, so most big retailers come in that fall. White Castle has a decent breakfast. All right, well, that's a good conversation. I'm coming back. I'm here. White Castle has a. Did I go away, Denise? Did you miss me? Let's You're proud to say you've never bought anything at Walmart? I cannot say that because I've been on the road as a comedian since the late 80s. So I bought something almost everywhere. Look out. Walmart was the first company to price fix products with China. China would not sell to any company at lower prices, forcing them out of business. Yes, and they also controlled the shipping. So the reason that they could set up stores that were cheaper, and this is a system that like China does, but in a very exaggerated form in Africa, for example. We've talked about that a little bit. So, beef stew and mashed potatoes and burrito, that seems cumbersome. I miss Fry's Electronics too. I love that place, and it makes me sad that it's gone. When the shelves started to empty, it was very depressing. And it was never going to survive something like COVID. All right. Anyways, back to these idiots who think that according to, and again, we've just talked about probably the two biggest places that the average American shops at the most. There's Team Target and Team Walmart, largely, if you're going to a big kind of all-encompassing retail store, right? If you're not ordering it online, you're actually going there. Right? You're going to either Target or Walmart. Very seldom do you cross over. Yeah? And we've just shown you that the markup there, the overall markup is about 25 to 30%. The return on their investment in those items and that markup is about 3%. There's a 3% profit that they turn. And the only reason that's a lot of money is because they run so many fucking stores in so many different places. So what does that tell you about this motherfucker's shopping habits? Because let's listen to what he just said. Remember what I just told you about his, like the cost of actual retail stuff. Like, and that goes for a lot of places, from Kohl's to Best Buy. Okay, let's hear his explanation. Let him tell us what it's like to go shopping.
And they say, well, guess what? We're down 20%. You might want to buy this item. It's still jacked the price up to, it's exactly right. It's when you go to a retail store and they've already jacked the price up to 300%. And they say, well,
300%. Now, as I just showed you, I think this guy was fired for sexual assault. Yes, I think that's the standard birth canal version of Fox's career path, is that you pass through the Rapey McRape Pants birthing process, as it were, and then you get spit out into the interwebs forever, like Bill O'Reilly. Let's be abundantly clear here. I just showed you that for the last decade, since the beginning of Target, and for the last 3 fucking decades, Target and all these places have jacked their prices up about 30%. It has not varied that much. And as a matter of fact, it's actually that rise in price has actually gone up. Has gone down as the cost of labor has gone up. But it's still around 30%, 25, 30% most of the time. Really hasn't changed all that much in the last few years, even as COVID laid into everybody. Period. Now, they will layer in with this the availability of eggs. And again, that has to do with simple supply and demand. There is less supply and the demand has not changed. So that's why the price of eggs went up. And restaurants who need them to stay in business are going to jump in there and buy fucking eggs at whatever price they can get them at, because they have a menu that has to, and especially when people were ordering food delivered at home, people were ordering, like, usually they would go out for or make their own breakfast. Like they would eat on their way to work, or they would actually make it at home and then eat lunch out, or, and then cook dinner at home or go out to dinner. These are your kind of staggered versions of how people consume food. And when it came to COVID and post-COVID for about a year, a lot of people were ordering all their fucking meals at home because they didn't even want to go to the grocery store for a while. But understand, like, still fucking 30%. And ultimately, they only keep and give out as dividends to their stockholders and that kind of stuff, which is, by the way, not just rich assholes with a bunch of, like, index funds, but also, retirement funds and 401ks and like Union shops have all their, their stock portfolios as well. They pay out with that 3 to 5%. And if it starts to go down too much, if that dividend goes down, people sell the stock and the stock goes down, and then they have less operating money to work with in terms of, there's a myriad of things. You guys get it. The point I'm trying to make is that this motherfucker turns 30% that really hasn't changed over the last 2 decades into they jacked it up 300%. Okay, so what the fuck is this guy buying? Besides high-end watches.
Hey, guess what? We're down 20%. You might want to buy this item. It's still substantially higher. My point is
And by the way, when the fuck does this guy go to the fucking grocery store? And by the way, if indeed you ever see me in Costco, just say hi. Just come up and say hi. Please do. You'll see me there, because I buy my food in bulk and meal prep because I am a weirdo who eats oddly, and I also cook for the family, so I get all my stuff in large amounts. And then if I need something special, I'll go to either Whole Foods or I'll go to the Sprouts or I'll go to the Albertsons, and I can just kind of pick and choose what because some places have stuff the other ones don't, right? But I do my own shopping, so every time this motherfucker comes up and these guys talk about this, like, yeah, could you believe what like normal people do at stores? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And even when it's expensive, you're like, I understand why it's expensive. Shit gets expensive sometimes. We're lucky to have the choice we do.
First year of Biden, prices skyrocketed.
Yeah, gee, I wonder why. It couldn't be possibly that the entire world was coming back online and America was ahead of everyone else. Nice hand gestures there.
That's
by the way.
their new base, so it went further higher at a slower rate, and they're taking a victory lap for that. We're still, and by the way, your father's 1.4% is better than perfect. 2% is the inflation rate that they go for, and he was 1.4% when he left.
When he left. At the height of fucking COVID, before we had a vaccine.
Hunter Biden. A lot of stuff came out over the weekend about Hunter Biden. Now, James Comer's Oversight Committee released some emails from Hunter Biden saying he's too busy to meet with whoever this person was he was going to meet with because he had to meet with the lawyers about impeachment. Hunter Biden said this, not when his father was vice president, but when your father was president.
Okay, so his dad wasn't in office? Again, why is this a conversation at all then? This wasn't even during the fucking campaign. What? Again, what? Honest to God. After that whole thing about somebody, was it Sean Hannity? I forget. They all fucking blend together now. Was it Hannity was like, that's illegal. And when he's talking about something that happened in 2017, you're like, no, it isn't. It's not even technically outside the ethics of government because nobody in that equation works in government at all at that point. Like, it's so odd.
Listen, the Hunter stuff is infuriating, and it's deeply...
It's infuriating. I agree. It's infuriating, especially for furries.
Personal to me, because if I ever jaywalked, if I literally jaywalked in the state of New York right now, they would try and find a reason to arrest me. If I hadn't...
No, they would just give you a ticket for jaywalking, I think, Also, do you walk anywhere?
Email that had a comma out of place. They try.
Okay. They do this one all the time. And can I point out that when you're talking about numbers, a comma or a period out of place, especially when you're dealing with numbers, is a major impact on the numbers that you're talking about. Yes? Yes? Okay.
And find a reason to literally throw me in jail for it. And then you see what this guy gets away with. I mean, Secret Service is pulling handguns out of...
How many people believe this asshole has actually written emails and stuff with commas out of place and has jaywalked and he's not in jail? Although he is on Newsmax, which is the next worst thing.
Dumpsters outside of, supermarkets in 2018.
Off the top of my head.
The guys going around the world taking money from Romania and China and all these other countries.
Where they won't give us money, and I don't know why. They, maybe it's because they get a return on investment in standard investments that he puts us into, whereas my dad just spends it on fish delights.
Haley Biden and another children, who have...
Haley Biden and another children.
Aren't in the business world, who have totally separate careers and totally separate jobs.
I'm sorry, what do you do? Besides, I understand you have a title. What do you do? I don't think anybody could answer it. Does anybody know what the fuck Eric Trump does for a living? Seriously. Like, anybody at the Trump organization, if they ever saw Eric Trump walking around with blueprints under his arm, they would start snickering, if anybody still works there. What the fuck does this guy do for a living? I'm dead serious. Because say what you will about Hunter Biden, but the dude has a law degree. Like, he practiced law. He had a law firm. He represented people as a lawyer. Whatever. Feel how you feel about lawyers and the jobs they can do. I don't know. What the fuck does this guy do? What does he do? I'm waiting. Anybody? Do we have a Trumper or a maggot who can describe the latest Eric Trump project? Because I understand. I live in a way, and I have my entire life as a comedian, as an actor, and now as a live streamer, a professional streamer. That I'm in a precarious situation with what I do for a living because there is no material standard. Right? See, if you dig a ditch for a living, and if you've done manual labor, and I have in my life, again, if you ever set foot in the coals in Deerfield, I more than likely did the parquet flooring you're stepping on during my summers in high school. And when you do a job like that, or you are assigned to dig a ditch or build a piece of fence or something like that, and you go, okay, by the end of the workday, we want this to be this hole you're digging must be 3 feet wide and 6 feet deep. You got it? Okay, cool. And by the end of the day, you can walk over and go, is it 3 foot wide and 6 feet deep? Yes or no. If it is, fabulous. If it isn't, then why? And because I needed more help, or the backhoe broke, or whatever. But the point is, you can take a measuring tape and go, the job was done or not done. When you get into the arts, and this is why a lot of people lose their banana, as it were, there is no standard. Because to one person, if you write a song or you tell a joke or you act in something, to one person, you have singularly, with your tiny little shovel, dug the Grand Canyon, and it's a fucking miracle. And to another person, you made a puddle or fucked up their driveway. There is no baseline. It's all a matter of opinion. And that's fine. I take that as part of the job. That is, of all beyond even the hustle aspect of being an artist and making sure that you always can get food in your fucking face, whether you have a show or not, because there's no guarantee in that. It's not a guarantee if you have a factory or an office job, but there's a premise that you do when you're contracted or something. You can see. You can recognize, okay, it's going to be hard for them to fire me. I am necessary. Whereas there's always somebody jockeying for a cheaper version of your job when you're performing. We know this. This has been around forever. It's why we need unions in the arts, because people will kill themselves just for the fame part of it. So if they could. So you need a standard, so that's not required. Meanwhile, you could, whether you agree that I'm good at what I do or you like what I do, and I'll stand my body of work up against anybody's. I'm proud of it. And it's just getting started. But I even if you hate what I do, I actually do it. Right? Even if you think that I just come on here and I just bullshit and fuck with Trump and his family and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 you hate me because I'm a liberal and I say all the stuff that you don't like to hear about these people because it's true. At least you can argue that, I can argue that, hey, I'll be here tomorrow. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, I've got the morning show, and Philip Bittner will be joining us live from Kiev. And I am one of the few live streamers who actually has their own correspondent in Ukraine this whole time. I'm just saying. So, but can anyone, and I mean this sincerely, tell me what the living shit this guy does for a living? For real. Anybody? I'll wait. Anybody? Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you for liking this and giving me the validation that it's so necessary for an earthquake zone kind of zone, like a career zone that I'm in. Thank you so much, Charlie. Anybody know what he does? Anybody? wipe his dad's ass. Well, I don't even think he does that. What does Wiki say? That's a good question. Because it'll say he's the executive vice president. But what the fuck does that mean? You know what I mean? Like like I said, I know he has a title. I just don't know what the job is. What does that mean? What does it mean to be an executive vice president of the Trump organization, other than arguably be a stand-in for his dad at certain meetings that his dad doesn't want to bother to go to, which makes you basically a development executive. Head Dingleberry. Ex-VP is this or that and the other? Yeah. They pay him to go on right-wing media? Even that would make you a spokesperson, not the vice president of an organization. Yes, I know he can get the job, but can he do the job? I am not arguing that.
I know he can get the job, but can he do the job?
Right. So, honest to God, I don't know. And I don't think we're ever going to find out. I would love to ask him, like, what's your fucking day-to-day like? And if it's just like, oh yeah, as the executive vice president, I just basically, I'm basically my dad's border wall for dumb deals. I do know in his role as executive vice president of the Trump organization, he pled the fifth 400 times in the New York deposition, which is the exact same number of times his dad did. So he and his dad both knew not to say a fucking thing to any of those. Now, Ivanka and Don apparently did not. That was the weird part. But Eric which means that he's the executive vice president of being thrown under the bus, because that would tell me that Don Jr. gets the legit deals and Eric gets all the cast-off, fucked up shit that will get you thrown in jail.
They're getting money from all over the place through shell entities and these complicated...
Mm-hmm. His father has 500 shell companies. Over 100 are just for bank accounts.
...structures. I mean, Eric, if I did 1/100th of that stuff, I would be locked up. The key would be thrown away. I wouldn't stand a damn chance. And then you see the DOJ.
Well, arguably, there's a couple things. One, if you did 1/100th of that, you would be locked up and the key would be thrown away. But by your father, because he expects 1,000 times more crime than you're ever accusing the Bidens of doing.
And how they cover for Hunter, how they cover for everybody. You see these sweetheart deals. Effectively, they try and slow walk everything to let him off on just statute of limitations. It's thing after thing, and it's literally called.
It is thing after thing. I agree. The way to sum it up. Yeah, I don't understand business lingo. Somebody contact me later and explain the business talk. It's just it's coming at me a little fast.
Costs the American people.
But then I didn't go to Horton.
It's caused them to lose faith in government. The United.
Mm-mm. Asshole, you have only courted people who only voted for your dad, who'd given up on the functioning structure of democracy a long fucking time ago, and now they're going to retreat back into the hills.
States of America's government it's lost its credibility. Our judicial system, our law enforcement has lost its credibility.
Our credit rating went down a couple of weeks ago. Eric,
no, it didn't. Finch lowered the bond thing to AAA or whatever.
The Oversight Committee now, I'm 90% sure Comer's.
And by the way, because of accrued debt, of which his father accrued more debt than any president in the history of the country, a full-on fucking third of it.
Up to somewhere in the ballpark of $50 million. $50 million that someone named Biden, Hunter, Stephen, daughter, nephew.
And you do realize you're talking to the son of a fake billionaire, right? Who literally told banks his properties were worth twice what they were worth and told the IRS they were worth 1/10 of what they were worth.
Someone named Biden got to the tune of $50 million. Does that sound like anything that they would stand by and say nothing this year if it was the Trump last name?
Well, you're kidding me, right? They haven't built anything since 1992. They're a branding organization that supposedly went up in value by $6 billion when they stopped building shit.
And they're not even in business. Tell me what they sell other than influence. You know.
Well, and if you're talking about specifically, let's just break down the deal with CEFC. That was to arrange for and guide the purchase of a $40 million. It was a $40 million deal to purchase a gas processing plant, a natural gas processing plant in the United States, in Louisiana, by setting up a subsidiary in the United States, which, by the way, would be under the regulatory rules of the SEC, which is part of the reason the deal fell apart, because they refused to do it, and that was a deal breaker for Hunter Biden. Curiously enough, not a deal breaker for the Trumps. They never feel the need to bring those deals to the United States and set up businesses in the United States. They always offshore them. That's where a lot of their LLCs go. Weird. Anyways, so that one, it was a $40 million deal. There was 10% put in an account. If the deal doesn't go through, the 10% gets divvied up amongst the people who were creating the deal in the United States and doing all the footwork and that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what happened. They were all hoping to make, 10 of that 40, and they ended up making 3. That would be it. Also, in terms of, I mean, if he wants to just go into what do venture capitalists or investment bankers or investment, like, I mean, I would even go as far as like people who put together ETFs or whatever. If you want to question that, is that a job? Knock yourself out. But it's not. None of these guys are going to do that.
We do hotel rooms. We do a lot of other things. Tell me.
You do hotel rooms. What a fucking giveaway. We do hotel rooms. Let me tell you why he said that. He didn't say we do hotels. That would be actually a fucking...
Tell me what they sell other than influence. You know what we do. We do hotel rooms. We do a lot of other things. Tell me.
We do hotel rooms. We do a lot of other things. Okay. No, he did not say we do hotels, because they don't build anything. They either get it, they gather a bunch of investors, or they're the face investor on another group of people who are putting in the majority of the funds. And then what they do is they sell themselves. They attach themselves. You're going to buy this thing, and it's not a Hilton, it's not a Marriott. They've turned you down already because they don't think there's money in it. So you go to the Trumps, and they'll spit polish it and put glitzy horseshit all over the rooms and make it look really gaudy and like old New York money bullshit. And then they'll slap his fucking name on it. Yeah, they'll brand it. That's it. That's why he said hotel rooms. Well, we cut you a deal, and it works like this. We get 2% of the cost of each room when it's rented, and we'll give you the sheets, which we have a deal with somebody else that's branded as well, because they sell Trump sheets and we get a piece of those. They just have to give us a certain number of them in bulk for the name, and and that all came from, living off the dad brand, the Trump brand from Fred, and then of course the Apprentice, and they turn that shit into, deals for sheets and pillowcases and fucking whatever else. And then they put that in all the rooms at cost, and they find some way to shuffle around the cost to the supplier. So they just basically stand back and shave fucking 2% off of everything and pretend to be rich. I mean, it's a great flim flam. And it reminds me of the, Tom Hanks as the Colonel in the fucking Elvis movie. Yeah, that and Saudi money laundering. What
they sell, right?
They sold America, Eric. They sold America.
You know what?
They did. They sold America, and America's not for sale. We are not open for business. We are a communist country, and nobody makes money. Oh, how'd they sell America if they weren't in office at the time? How did Hunter Biden sell America if it was?
If somebody came into one of our hotels when my father was president, they were from a foreign country, a government official from a foreign country, and we found out about it, you know what we do? We donate all the money for that, that margarita that they bought at the bar, donate it back to the United States Treasury. And these guys who
The fuck out of here. They were renting entire floors. I take it back. I guarantee that's exactly what he did. Like margaritas at the bar, they'd make a big stink out of that. And then, of course, they rented. He didn't even okay, that's just nonsense. Good Lord. I mean, honestly.
Bullshit.
That is, I thought we would have a winner, earlier in the night, but that pretty much fucking nails it. Hold on. Let's see. Foreign. Yeah, just we'll just exclusive. Foreign government leases at Trump World Tower stir more emoluments concern. The U.S. State Department allowed 7 foreign governments to rent luxury condominiums in New York's Trump Tower in 2017 without approval from Congress, according to documents and people familiar with the leases, and what some experts say could be a potential violation of the U.S. Constitution's emolument clauses. The Manhattan Building, part of the real estate empire of Donald Trump, had housed diplomats and foreign officials before the property developer became president. But now that he's in the White House, such transactions must be approved by federal lawmakers, some legal experts say. The emoluments clause bans U.S. officials from accepting gifts or payments from foreign governments without congressional. The rental transaction, dating from early months of Trump's presidency and first disclosed by Reuters, could add to mounting scrutiny of his business dealings with governments, which are now subject of multiple lawsuits. The new information raises serious concerns about the president and his business's potential receipt of payments from foreign governments. Cummings said in the statement to Reuters, the American public deserves full transparency. We know, of course, now that never fucking happened.
aren't in the business world, don't have hard assets, that are flying around on Air Force One, Air Force Two, all over the world, peddling their influence, peddling their name while their father's in office, are taking somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 million to use your number and pocketing it. It's
also, yeah, Eric, make that face. Pocketing it. Because it was divided them up. I love how they're like divided up amongst Biden friends and family members and associates, largely Hunter and then the other associates. And when we look at Burisma, though, I think the key thing about Burisma is, and I'm sorry, am I pronouncing that correctly? I always get it.
Company that his son worked for. That's
Burisma. Sorry, Burisma. That if we look at Burisma, of the $6.5 million that were allegedly made during his time on the board, 3.9 million of it, the lion's share, went to Devon Archer. But Devon Archer is an honest purveyor of a business and deserves to be heard as somebody who is a legit witness, even though he got more money from Burisma than Hunter did. How's that? It's almost like they're ignoring it, like they did Gal Luft's status as a Chinese spy for 2 decades.
disgrace. I would be in jail for doing exactly that, but because they have a Democrat, meaning because there's a D before their political party, and because the
Yeah, if only the GOP would rename their party the Republican Party, which, quite frankly, now that I say it out loud, sounds like something that they would be for. Republican
entire system
is kind of actually their anti-democratic attitude. You might be onto something, dum-dum. The Republican Party
is weaponized. These guys get away with murder. And Eric,
not literally.
The entire country understands the system. They understands the imbalance in the scales of justice.
Oh, the imbalance.
It's wrong. We're better than this as a country. We're a hell of a lot better than this as a country. We've got the
well, we are now
most corrupt president and first family in the history.
Living in a rental property in Florida, oddly.
History of the country in the Oval Office right now, and it's somebody better start paying attention to it. Otherwise, this is.
Yeah, have you guys been paying attention? Honest to God, I've been so busy. I have not noticed anything. Did they even pass an infrastructure bill? Kind of remember vaguely or something. Are we still in Afghanistan? We are, right? We're still in Afghanistan, aren't we?
There's going to be status quo in Washington for a long time to come.
No doubt, Eric.
No doubt. So true. So true. I mean, you can't argue with that. I wouldn't know what to say, except like, subscribe, support the show, and hi. Thanks for being here.